fountain of affection and the instrument of joy to keep the good times rolling. I'm the boy, you know the world could be our oyster. You just put your trust in me, so we'll keep the good times rolling. Wait and see, wait and see, oh, wait and see.
Are you guys all here to see me? Just me? Sometimes I get DMs and people are like, we really love what you guys are doing over there. I'm like, excuse me? You guys? I said, excuse me, it is one guy who's busting his ass over here. And for a long time was stealing a company's time by working on this instead of working. Yeah, fuck him, right? As a proud New Brunswicker, I'd just like to say Happy New Brunswick Day weekend. I'm spending it the way most New Brunswickers do, by getting the fuck out of New Brunswick. I thought that would kill in Nova Scotia. No, I don't know. I don't know. It kind of bugs me when Nova Scotia is on their high horse about New Brunswick. It's like, it's like no funds like this, whatever. I'm like, dude, you're from Yarmouth. Like, what are you doing here? Like, I'm not buying it. Anyway, you guys do make good beer though. So, what else was I gonna say? I had a few extra notes I just wrote down here. Yeah, this is my second time. Oh, that's a good sound, isn't it? I am back in Halifax, Nova Scotia, because last year I was fortunate enough to be asked by a fellow named Dylan Jewers to do a couple shows in town, and it was his suggestion that we do one of two places. He suggested the Buffalo Club in Dartmouth, but the other place he recommended was the Woodside Beverage Room, which I believe to be the oldest tavern in Dartmouth, and long story short, I did a couple shows there. What's significant about that is that when I did those shows there last summer, I had only ever done one, which was my debut in my hometown of Fredericton, New Brunswick. I was nervous about the idea of doing a show in Halifax, given that I didn't have my mother, father, cousins, aunts, uncles, all coming and buying tickets and filling up 75% of the room. I figured this would be the true test, Like, does the public like me? Will they come to an event? So I wasn't sure. But when Dylan asked me to do the show, I felt excited and encouraged, and here I am, once again, a broken man on a Halifax beer. Maybe I'll just leave this slide up for the whole I put up a poster on my account saying that I would be doing that show last summer. Within 12 hours, it had sold out. We ended up adding a second show, a 5 p.m. matinee, which of course around this time of year, so it was fully light out. And we had to cover the windows of the bar just so people could make out what was going on for the visuals. Yeah, because you couldn't, it was just white. It was just a white screen. They were also like, do you want us to turn the VLTs off for the show? I was like, will you guys be able to pay your rent if I was like, how loud are the ding 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 dings back there? I was like, leave them on, I don't fucking care. So I think they left them on. So there was a lot of people not knowing what the hell was going on in the back room, like, why is this guy talking about Jan Arden for 15 minutes? Which I will be doing shortly. So if you were at any of the other shows I recently did, I was just here 2 weeks ago. I did Charlottetown, Moncton, and St. John. So if you were at any of one of those shows, there may be a little bit of overlap here. I don't think there's any overlap from the Dartmouth show last year. I was trying to make sure it was fresher material there. The other thing I do that is absolutely asinine as as a performer is I tailor each show to the city that I'm in, and I never do a show twice unless it's twice in one day in a new audience. So I've never rehearsed. I've never done the show again, and after I work really hard on it, I throw it in the garbage. So that sucks for me. But yeah, we're gonna kind of try to keep things like moving here. This should be 90 minutes or less. There's no break. Feel free to get up at any point and get a drink or go to the bathroom or whatever. You can look at your fucking phone and check your Instagram. I don't give a shit. I'd be doing it if I was in the crowd. This is not a formal atmosphere, so everyone please just enjoy yourselves. But yeah, all that to say that I was thrilled by the support of people willing to come to that show so early in the day, in the middle of summertime in beautiful Nova Scotia. What are you doing to come see me, I thought, instead of enjoying what might be the most beautiful province in the entire country. The other major phenomena working against me was that the fact that it was July 22nd, 2023. Many of you will remember during that time, over the span of 24 hours, Halifax received over 250 millimeters of rain. I had a very hard time getting into town. If I remember correctly, it was rerouted around Fall River to come into town through Lower Sackville. As I was doing that, I saw cars literally floating on roads that were parallel to us. I didn't think those shows would happen, but I spoke to Dylan. He was like, "No, people are here right now, so come on over." So yeah, Halifax has been very supportive of my account from the very beginning, and I'm extremely grateful for that. Good old Halifax, I thought, when I announced this show and sold 100 tickets in an hour. I'm really good at pumping my own fucking tires, aren't I? After my 2 shows last summer, I finished up the second one as quickly as possible because I was trying to get to another show that was here, which was the Grand Theft Bus Jimmy Swift Seamless Sets. Is anybody there? Anyway, very on brand for me, if you know me personally. I packed up my merch as quick as I could after my 7 p.m. show. Had my girlfriend drive us across the McDonald Bridge because I was drunk, and we caught the opening sets right here at the Marquee. And now here I am doing a show here myself on the same stage, and look, the room's full. This is great. I love it. I'm a big fan of this venue, and I remember well when the Seahorse was on Argyle before it came over this way. I'm truly pumped and honored to be doing a show. I mean, I pretty much just said, there's going to be little moments of me repeating myself, especially when I go off script. I have some other connections to Halifax I'd like to touch on. This is without a doubt one of the coolest cities in the country. Long before I figured that out, my dad was here when he was a young man doing his master's, and I believe the start of a PhD, or one or the other. Maybe my sister can tell me. Did he do his PhD here?
What you said is right. He did his master's here.
Yeah. There you go. Thanks. This is my sister Maureen, everybody. He ended up leaving before he finished his doctorate because he was offered a job as assistant registrar at St. Thomas University, a job that he took and remained at for over 40 years. The duration of his career, retiring as dean of the university in 2012. That's Stu. I should also mention that my sister did her vocal training here at Dalhousie, and after a stint in Toronto is now an opera singer living back in town. The place she calls home with my brother-in-law and her husband, Richard Belding. She is the mastermind behind a group called Essential Opera. And if you haven't checked them out by now, I must demand that you do so. That is Essential Opera, and my sister's name is Maureen Batt. Yeah. The other amazing thing that she did not too long ago, she worked with Greg Harrison on a project called Lighthouse. Some of you may recognize Greg Harrison just from being Greg Harrison, but he's also worked closely with Jeremy Dutcher. That was another amazing show I saw here. It was amazing, and I don't know if that was during like Juno time or something. There was some other thing going on in his life at the time, but that show If you haven't seen Jeremy Dutcher, make an effort to do that. That show will give you chills up and down your ass and back. It's crazy. He's really, really good. And he's from my hometown of Fredericton. So that's pretty cool. Any Frederictonians in the crowd tonight? Yeah? All right, let's go. Yeah, there's a few of us. It's not too bad. So yes, despite being a Fredericton boy, I definitely have a home here and feel at home in the incredible metropolis of the East. Hello, city. You've got an enemy in me. Whoa, 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 whoa. Yeah! That was fast. Good for you, man. I was not playing. What does he say then? He's like, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm hungry, so let's eat. And then he says Barrington Street. But they kind of shit on Halifax in that song a little bit, don't they? That's too bad. Are we mad at Bare Naked Ladies for that? Should I not have worn a Bare Naked Ladies shirt tonight? Maybe that was poor planning. Yeah, so I'm a Frederictonian, but I moved to Montreal around 2005 or 2006. Before leaving Fredericton, someone boo Montreal. That's insane. What a weird city to hate. Very strange. That's got to just be like an anti-Quebecois sentiment. That's not. You're from Ontario, so you hate Montreal? Most Ontarians are in Montreal, not hating Montreal. Before leaving Fredericton, I was kicked out of university residence for marijuana possession. Not smoking it, just having a single joint behind my ear. This was obviously years before Daddy Trudeau swooped in and declared marijuana legalized in 2018. No, this was the good old days in 2005 when just a single JJ could have you leaving the province, which is exactly what I did. For context, I was living in residence at St. Thomas University in Fredericton, where I'm from, because I had a pretty decent scholarship. Now, before some of you try to nepo baby accuse me, I should note that I was at STU on a leadership scholarship, one that was offered by STU every single year to the president of Student Council at Fredericton High School, which was me. So if you were wondering how long I've been loving attention, it's been a lifelong thing. So yeah, I was living in residence, which is why I got kicked out for having weed, just so we're clear. The good thing that came out of all that, however, is that I finally got my way and got to move to Montreal, something I desperately wanted to do throughout my teens. I now live an hour north of Montreal in the Laurentians, and it all sort of came to be when, in November of last year, I was finally in a position to quit my job. Not bad, eh? Given how well this account was going with the shows, etc. So as of about 7 months ago, Canada.gov.ca is now my full-time job. It says in my notes here, hold for aggressive applause. I've recently... I meant you get it already, but thanks. Yeah, no, I mean, I'll take it again, sure. I've recently had some very kind followers bring their parents to these shows, and while I've done events in Dartmouth, Toronto, Peterborough, Hamilton, Ottawa, Montreal, St. John's, Charlottetown, and Moncton, it's always kind of weighed on me. So that said, if you're not really sure what's going on tonight, or if you don't follow my account, what the hell are you doing here? But secondly, may I just quickly say for context that I run a Canadian history type Instagram account where I deliver little vignettes on pieces of Canadian arts, culture, music, history, etc. I take little elements of our past that interest me, and either by way of the account or the live show, I give my unsolicited commentary. But since starting this account in 2017, I've amassed over 80,000 followers. A lot has happened since my first ever live show in 2023. Most importantly, I married my beautiful wife, Allison, last year. And we ditched our Montreal apartment and moved permanently to our cottage that we had bought during the pandemic. We had to get rid of the apartment for me to quit my job. We couldn't be too double dwellers anymore. But it was great, so now we live in this little town called St. Adolphe de Howard. You know where that is? Do you really? Sick. How do you know where it is? Are you? Where? I know where that is. That's really close to me, yeah. Very nice. Sick. Love that. I'm on Lac Cornu, if you're familiar with that. Very small little lake on St. Adolphe de Howard. Okay. You want to get a drink after this? Or? Back to my beautiful wife, Alice. Oh, brutal. Is this being recorded, Maureen? No, eh? Okay, yeah. It is? Yeah. Wonderful. Yeah. All right, let me get into the slides here. Why don't we kind of start the show? I mean, that was a little bit of a long-winded introduction. I hope that they're in the right order here. I never really know, but... Oh, there, this is me in the Globe and Mail, my biggest accomplishment. This is how my mom and dad knew, like, something was real. It was like, oh, he's in the paper. He was in the paper. Paper you can't even buy out here anymore. But yeah, there should be, I'm hoping that there's no, like, slides in here that don't belong, but, okay. Like, that's not supposed to be there. Well, that's from my personal collection of photos I look at in my own time. This is weird because at the time, I don't know how many hockey players there are here, or I suppose we are in Crosby country, aren't we? I played against Crosby, and yeah, when I was in grade 8. I was born in 1986. Crosby wears 1987 because he was born in 1987. Yeah, so I played against him. He was playing a year underage because he was pretty good at hockey. And I was the last person picked for Pee Wee AAA in Fredericton. But yeah, I played against him twice. But what's funny about this photo is that when Crosby was drafted, Mario Lemieux was still on the Pittsburgh Penguins. So this is a photo of teammates where one is in a suit holding the other one. Like, I don't know, like they don't look gay. They look like father and son at Sears. And so it's like, what the fuck is going on? And then, yeah, the other crazy thing about when Crosby was drafted was that he was like 18 or 17 or 18. He moved in with Mario Lemieux. He lived in Lemieux's house. And Lemieux was also, this is crazy, like Lemieux was a player and a part owner of the team. So Lemieux was protecting his investment. Like, you're not gonna live in downtown Pittsburgh and go out and do whatever. You're like under my roof, child. But here's like $100 million. But you're gonna be in bed by 10. So I find that funny. Oh, this is nice. Don't we kind of miss him now? I mean, he was a fucking idiot, but he was kind of likable a little bit. Okay. Have you guys ever seen on my account when I do those, like, what are they called? Like, station IDs, where I get, like, someone to be like, you know, hi, this is CBC's Craig McMorris, and you're watching Canada.gov.ca. Like, I've had a few people do that. I reached out to Mercer and asked him to do one for me, and he did. He was really nice. He just did one for me. So once I had Mercer in my DMs, I had to ask him about this photo. I said, what the fuck is going on in that pic of you looking at Suzuki's bare ass? And he was like, that was not a staged photo at all. We were at a Gemini's after party. You can see the Gemini right there. They were at a Gemini's after party, and I guess one of David Suzuki's party tricks, because he drinks. A lot of these guys drink. Like, I drink. You gotta drink. It's important. But Suzuki's party trick is that he, like, will just in the bar, like at an after party for an event, or like at some like banquet or like a gala, will take his clothes off. And he's not hammered or anything. Like, he's just like sipping like a martini or his whatever, like glass of water. I don't know what that is. and he'll take his clothes off. So Mercer was surprised and made that face. Another guy that's been known to party is Ron McLean. When he's not quoting Aristotle on Hockey Night in Canada, or referencing some other obscure Greek philosopher, he's at a bar in Victoria, fucking tarps off. And let this be a warning. That's air guitar too, so you can see he's holding an imaginary pick. It's pretty fucking sweet. I wish we knew what beer he was drinking, but also, how sick is it that it's just an unidentified bottle? It's just like, it's any beer, it doesn't matter, but... Love this shit. Anyway, let this be a warning to anyone. Oh, we jumped ahead here. They say every time someone pours a rum and Pepsi, a maritimer is born. Point of view, this group tells you they haven't seen you since you were about yay high, even though you are 35 years old. This show isn't me like showing memes, but there's just I like to warm you up with a couple gags. Gonna have to move out of New Brunswick. Just saw Pitbull smoking an Export A green in Dieppe. That's how I knew it was time to get the fuck out of there. All right, this is great. So, y'all are very familiar with my obsession with the Venres chair by now. The best part about the whole Venres thing, the ongoing joke, is that like I get people submitting photos of them like in the wild. So like sometimes there'll just be one like on the roof of a convenience store. They're like, what the hell is it doing there? I was like, I don't know, man, you're blowing my mind. But someone sent me this photo. It's a wedding. I believe on the New Brunswick side, if you look closely, you can see the Confederation Bridge in the background, which is pretty sick. But usually when they use Venres chairs at a wedding, which happens all the time, believe it or not, they make them cute, like they dress them up, like they wrap them in those tablecloths or whatever the fuck they do, you know? No, these guys were just raw dogging the Venres chairs at their wedding. And when I asked, which you'd think it was my wedding, like it wasn't, but you guys are just like, this is you, right? No, it's not. But when I asked the person that sent me the photo, I was like, what's the fucking deal there? They said the funniest answer ever. They said, the father of the bride is a school principal. So that's where those free chairs came from. Anything to save a buck on the most important day of your life. I think it's pretty funny. It's pretty sick. Pretty wild, eh? That's when you believe in it. This is cut off, but this is me and my dad ordering all for Alsace at a restaurant circa 2005. Fitting right in. There's me and my dad again. I should note that the guys that these two dudes, like my NB on the pipe, they run a website called mynewbrunswick.ca, which I have sourced a lot of information from. So I shouldn't just like throw them under the bus here. Like I'm not making fun of them. These guys are legends. Like those jackets are dope. They're obviously like, you know, wicked dudes. But yeah, they run this website, which is awesome. Have you ever guys seen this show, Trailer Park Boys? It's a good show. It was on TV. These guys were the characters as well. Is there a guy here named James Rankin? Really? Are you back there? Okay. So you're not Jimmy Rankin, right? Because when I saw this on my ticket sheet, I had a fucking heart attack. How dare you be named James Rankin and come to my fucking show? No, I'm just kidding. Thank you for coming. But a part of me was like, no. Could it? Maybe. No, Jim's not here. But here's a few Jim memes for you. It says anxiety, what if you're not good enough, depression, everybody hates you. Jim Rankin, old McPhee literally just wrapped his buggy around a tree. This is the feeling when you've got $20 and you know it'll get you by the door. This is when mom and dad say, we've got the Rankin family at home. Was I wrong for this? Maybe. Did the Bear McNeils repost it? Yes. Is she handsome? Is she pretty? No. Well, then it can't be the Belle of Belfast City. Has she been rambling too long? No. Well, then it cannot be Lisa Brown. Now, the funny thing about like the iPhone is how, like, for a while I was kind of obsessed with Tony Clement, the conservative politician. Not because I like him, because well, we got in a fight, Tony and me. True story. I posted him, like, singing at a bar. He was singing, "Should I Stay or Should I Go?" It was so bad. But you know, I love that kind of shit. It goes right up on the account as soon as I see it. And I got a DM from Tony saying, "Thanks for the attention. I hope you're mentally well." It's the DM that he sent me. So, because of my Tony Clement beef, I have a lot of photos of Tony Clement on my phone. And I also have a lot of photos of the Rankin family. So this is a very niche meme that I made that says, me watching the slideshow of the Rankin family / Tony Clement pics my phone has assembled. My phone's like, you're gonna love this. Tony, Heather, Jimmy, Cookie, Raylene, all together in one slideshow. What do you think? I'm like, the fuck is this? But anyway. They say every time an angel whispers, way she goes, a maritimer is born. Okay, we're gonna go into a little story time here about, speaking of beefs, let's talk about my beef with Jan Arden for a minute. I'll try to keep this quick, because we do have lots to go over. I don't want to bore the fuck out of you guys, but. So, I used to do these Valentines of, like, A-list, C-list, B-list, D-list Canadian celebs. Now I mostly make fun of conservative politicians on Valentine's Day, because fuck those guys. But at the time I was doing, like, ones where I wasn't really even necessarily taking shots at people. Like with this Jan one, there's nothing making fun of her here. Could I Be Your Girl? You know, a track off of Living Under June, a perfect record, I might add. And she sees this, and she was not pleased. She said, "Please stop the live export of horses to Japan. It's unbelievably cruel. 4 large draft horses crammed into wooden crates, no headroom, no food, no water, 2 days shitting on each other. Long turbulent flight overseas is just insane. Then they're killed brutally and eaten raw by rich people. Hashtag stop live horse export." I said, "Hi Jan, massive fan here. Just wanted to clarify that I'm not actually affiliated with the government in any capacity, but rather a simple citizen and proud owner of Living Under June and a ticket stub to your show at the Aiken Center, Fredericton, 1997, my first ever concert. Love you, Jan." You would think that her comment, also she got ratioed. Big time. You would think that comment would have been deleted. No, it's still up to this day. It hasn't always been bad, though. I had a nice run-in with our queen from Spring Hill, Anne Murray. Yeah. That's what I was thinking. He's like, "Dang, Anne. Come on, fly over here, snowbird." I don't know. Sorry. Not in the script, nor should it be. But yeah, so I was on a bit of an Anne kick not too long ago. I am a big fan of Anne Murray, and so is my mom. And I think part of the reason is that Anne was going to UNB when my mom was at St. Thomas. And when Anne was at UNB, she was performing in this Red and Black review, which is a talent show that UNB puts on. And Anne performed at it, and people were like, damn, this bitch might be for real. She might be going somewhere. And sure enough, she went somewhere. She's one of the highest grossing musicians in Canadian history. But I posted this clip I found of Anne performing at this like university thing. I can't fucking find the clip anymore. It was up on YouTube. It's been taken down. But when I posted it, Anne wrote me, DM'd me, and said, I have never seen this footage before. And she was like, thank you so much for unearthing it and posting it. 2 weeks later, I get a gift basket from the Anne Murray team. And there was a hat, a crew neck sweater. The crew neck sweater was by far the dopest merch I've ever seen in my whole fucking life. Just a plain crew neck sweater, and in cursive writing, Anne Murray. I'm like, that's so badass. I loved it. Anyway, the other thing that was in it was this signed 8x10 to the admin. Now the reason why they sent this one, this is kind of neat, like someone on her team had the wherewithal to be like, you know, that guy's anonymous. He doesn't put his like name or face on the account. So that's why it says to the admin, but they included a second one that said to John. For me. So that's pretty nice. Yeah. Another cute little anecdote was when I got another cute anecdote. Was when I got a DM from, you guys recognize these two, I'm sure. Matt Mays and Adam Baldwin. There's Adam on cue. Adam reached out to me and said, I'll be coming through Montreal. He's a fan of the account, and I'm a fan of Adam. We had never met prior to this interaction. But he said, I'm doing a show in Montreal. I'd love to put you on the guest list so you can come. I was like, oh, cool. Yeah, man, that's amazing. I'll be there. He's like, yeah, I'm opening up for Alan Doyle. I said, excuse me? Yes, I will be there for sure. I'm probably crying for the duration of the show. And it's like the weird songs that make me cry. Like, I don't remember liking Sea of No Cares when I was younger. And now I'm just like, sitting in like the audience, like, bawling. Like, Sea of No Cares? Really? That's the one that got me? Weird. So there's me and Adam having a drink backstage. I'm wearing my Anne Murray hat from the gift basket. I also had the courage at some point to ask him, Adam, do you think I could meet the big man? And he obliged. And there's me and Alan Doyle. This is a big deal for me because I used to spend my summers, like 2 weeks out of the summer in Cavendish, Prince Edward Island. And I had just gotten my license, I remember, and I borrowed, like I remember the first time my mom and dad let me borrow like the car. It was like the van. Like mom and dad had a van and then we had like a little car. But like for some reason I was allowed to drive the van. You know, when you borrowed a car, you didn't ever borrow like the van. That was like mom and dad's car. You would maybe get access to like an auxiliary vehicle, like the other car. But I remember I was driving like between North Rustico and Cavendish, and if you guys know that drive, it's fucking so beautiful. And I was listening to Play, the 1997 hit record by Great Big Sea. And I just remember being like 16 years old and being like, wow, if this is life, like I'm gonna really enjoy this. And it was just one of those moments that stuck with me like my entire, like I remember it minute for minute right now. And it was a long time ago. So yeah, meeting Alan was pretty sick. I kind of have that crazy person look on my face when you're really excited to meet someone. Like I look a little bit fucked. If you look at my like just like I'm gonna look like the fucking Joker or something. Anyway, I know there might be some assumption tonight that I'm gonna touch on the infamous glove guy. The truth is, I did it some of my last shows, and I actually find the topic kind of dark now. And for those of you that don't know, there was a guy that would pick up youngish men after the bars closed in Halifax and offer to drive them home, but in the process try to get them to try on gloves that he made and sold. In reality, it was sort of his thing to see young men try on and model gloves for him. He had like a, what? They're nice gloves? Is he here? Are you the glove guy? You're a victim of the glove guy? Are there any other victims of the glove guy in here?
My boyfriend.
Your boyfriend? God damn. The Reddit thread on glove guy is fucking insane. Like I'm not gonna do it tonight, so just go read that thread and you'll get everything you need. Over the years I've had people reach out, describe themselves as survivors of the glove guy. And increasingly I feel kind of greasy making light out of a situation where someone was essentially harassing and maybe even assaulting people in a somewhat vulnerable state coming out of the bars. So that said, I'd like to move on to other topics. At the end of the show, there will be a short question and answer period, so if you feel inclined to share something about the glove guy, I will not stop you. Moving on, I'd like to talk about the Simpsons characters in Waikokuma. For many, many years, one could drive through picturesque Cape Breton Island on the northern tip of Nova Scotia and pass by a very memorable property in Waikokuma on Bredor Lake. Someone had built and painted hundreds of Simpsons characters made out of plywood on their front lawn. It was truly impressive. I remember seeing it years ago, and it raised a number of questions. I remember thinking, okay, it must be both the husband and wife that are down for this, or perhaps it is a man or a woman that lives alone. Maybe someone has simply lost their mind. I was trying to determine logically how this could happen. The truth is much cuter. The display was put together by a woman named Sylvia Gugu. Am I pronouncing that correctly, or is it Juju?
No, it's Gugu.
Is it Gugu?
Yeah.
Okay. From, and I'm gonna butcher this, but Wakokuma First Nation? Is it the same way we say it in English? Yeah? Okay, I'll just not say the word anymore. Sylvia's nephew, who she helped raise, was graduating from Dalhousie Law School. Her nephew was, and perhaps still is, a huge Simpsons fan. So as a graduation present for him graduating from law school, she put together the cast of characters on her lawn. So initially there was a big thing that said like, you know, congratulations, Jarvis is his name, right? Yeah. My sister is friends with him. I don't know him personally. I follow him. He's a good follow. He's always running. The reaction from people was so immense that she decided to keep putting them back up every spring until fall so passersby could stop and enjoy it. And stop and enjoy they did. People were also invited to sign the guest book and drop a toonie or a loonie into a small donation box. Very cute. Just for like the upkeep of the signs. I can only imagine the amount of joy this display has brought to people over the years. I've heard that in later years, The Simpsons were traded out for Ninja Turtles, characters from Cars movies, and even a couple Paw Patrollers for the younger generation. Which, you know, that's fine. I think that's great because, like, this might mean less to children now, and Paw Patrol might really hit home to a kid in 2024. So I think that's okay. There's something sort of magical, spooky, and zany about the rural Maritimes. I've always described places like Andy's Dummies near Port Elgin, Rainbow Valley, or Animal Land in Sussex as having Alice in Wonderland-like qualities that somehow have a way of making a place playful, yet psychedelic in a vaguely threatening way. I feel that going on here a little bit. Like imagine you're on mushrooms in Waikokuma and you stumble upon this, you'd be like, all right. Deep breath. Be so sick though. Anyway, shout out to the Simpsons lawn. Oh yeah, and so look, there it goes, Dalhousie grad. Yeah, isn't that nice? I thought you guys would like this. Yeah, wasn't that Bart's girlfriend? And is that the kid from Canada? No, I forget who he is on the left. Anyway, it doesn't matter. His professor. Ay, caramba. All right, in 1983, who's this guy? It's a fucking crazy man, that's who it is. In 1983, Daniel Johnston released his famous Hi, How Are You album, widely seen as an excellent example of outsider music. It's a topic I've touched on my account quite a few times in relation to Tonetta, or Louis Ballou, or my new favorite artist, Moncton, New Brunswick's Dugos No Bitch. If you haven't checked him out by now, he's like a 65-year-old retired cab driver that just started making music. I call him the Acadian Serge Gainsbourg. You should check him out. But what's interesting about the title of Daniel Johnston's record, Hi, How Are You, is that 12 years later, another sort of outsider released an album similarly titled, Hi, How Are You Today? I'm of course talking about Ashley McIsaac's 1995 release, which went double platinum in Canada and included the top 40 hit Sleepy Maggie. And what a tune it was. And it's warm up here too. What are we thinking with Schooner? Are we liking Schooner these days? It's the rival Oland family. It's funny, they're both Olands, eh? Olands in Nova Scotia, Olands in New Brunswick. And this is off topic, but when Dennis Oland probably killed his dad, which he's now not in jail for, but rather sailing around the world on a yacht. He follows me, by the way. So I get to see what he's up to. I'm like, what's the murderer doing today? Swipe, swipe, swipe. Anyway, one of the pieces of evidence they were looking for was this like family heirloom, like family tree book. And it was like apparently something to do with like how the St. John Owens are more directly related to like the Scottish nobility, and that the Nova Scotian family isn't. Like that's how fucking petty these guys are. Like first of all, who gives a shit? But anyway, I've always found that really funny. But that's extremely off topic. Let's go back to Ashley McIsaac. This period of music in Canada is an interesting one because there was this strange kind of Celtic music revival happening. In 1997, Great Big Sea releases Play, and it's all over Much Music and CMT. But you also have the Rankin Family, Lorena McKennitt, going gold in the US, the Corrs, Dropkick Murphys, and Enya kind of showing a strong presence on the North American airwaves. Pretty interesting. Indeed, a strange time for music, I must say. I was Well, I was a fan at the time as like a 10-year-old, but it then went quite dormant for a while, my love of Celtic music. It's not exactly what you're into when you're like 16. That's when you listen to the Grateful Dead, exclusively. I smoke a lot of weed. But that side of me has reemerged in adulthood, and dare I say, it might be the same case for a lot of other North American millennials. But let's get back to Ashley McIsaac and the time he showed his entire dick and balls on the Late Night with Conan O'Brien show. It was 1997, and obviously McIsaac was at the absolute peak of his career. He was on Conan, not bad for a guy from Inverness County, Cape Breton. Somewhat already known as a controversial character at home, I'm not sure Conan or his producers knew what was in store for his American television debut. McIsaac wore a traditional Scottish kilt, something that fiddle players do not wear. Bagpipers wear kilts. Fiddle players do not, but and I don't know if it was, I think it was his label that was like, wear a kilt, like lean into the whole fucking Nova Scotia thing for your brand. Anyway, so he did. As some of you may already know, during the 18th century in particular, Highland regiments in the British Army were known to wear kilts without anything underneath. It was considered to be a display of toughness and masculinity, as well as a way of maintaining mobility during battle. It's where we get the term going regimental, while others may know this term as going commando. Very interesting, right? That's why you come to this fucking show. Because I got little moves like that. McIsaac went regimental, or commando, on Late Night with Conan O'Brien and did a leg kick while playing that lifted his kilt so high that he showed his entire cock and balls to the live studio audience. Can we turn, or wait, should I turn it down on my computer?
I'll turn it down here.
Okay.
Yep.
Sorry about that, guys. We're gonna listen. I'm gonna show his like performance a little bit before his cock and balls. Because it's actually sick. So we can genuinely, sincerely enjoy this for a minute and then... So fucking sick. There it is.
Thank you very much. Action again, everybody, get back. We'll be right back.
This may be a mistake. This is not.
See, Liz, let's go through this a little more carefully here. Let's examine exactly what happened. He goes, and we've seen where the problem is. It's up and then kick and then there, right there was the problem.
McIsaac later claimed he was told to do it by the show's producers.
We now have a sign backstage.
Yes.
Please wear underwear.
Yes.
I don't know if McIsaac's lying or if the show's lying.
I couldn't believe it.
He was
Because I'm sitting here,
and he's usually reading a magazine during the music portion of the show, you know, and you're flipping, and we all thought we saw something, but it was amazing. Everybody ran back into the booth after the show.
It was Little Ashley. Little Ashley.
Yeah, Lil Ashley, yeah.
Lil.
And L-I-apostrophe-L. And
It's rude.
see, Liz, let's go through this a little more.
I'm not sure why
more carefully
I'm
here.
not sure why this slide's here. I doubled up. I think I was having a few drinks putting this
And
together.
killed.
Strangely enough, the network went ahead with broadcasting the performance, though they of course blurred out McIsaac's nether region in post-production. Other good final trivia about McIsaac before we wrap things up on him. He married his husband, Andrew Stokes, in 2007. He's a firm believer in UFOs and is certain that he saw one with other witnesses in his younger years and has appeared on countless UFO podcasts explaining this. He once ran for the leadership of the Liberal Party of Canada. As you can see here, this is him campaigning unsuccessfully. He is cousins with Natalie McMaster, another Nova Scotia fiddle legend. He's a distant cousin to Jack White from the White Stripes, and the two have met and discussed this. He is an extremely, extremely, extremely good fiddle player. I wasn't sure when I was a kid. I was like, maybe he's just like sort of like a badass and a celeb. It's like, no, like other fiddle players like cannot comprehend how good he is. There's like something wrong with him. He also plays a right-handed fiddle left-handed, which is very bizarre. Most notably, allowing it to remain strung right-handed, highly unusual style of playing. He might be the only person in the world that does it this way. Asked why this was the case, he said, well, if you change the strings on your fiddle, you'll never be able to play anyone else's. Interesting. So if I go to a party and someone hands me a fiddle, like I can't play it. So that's why he played it, because you didn't always have yours with you. Fucking cool. Let's talk about Rita McNeil. With all the hell that is happening south of the border regarding Roe versus Wade, I thought it might be an interesting opportunity to revisit our old friend Rita McNeil and the time she was being investigated by the RCMP as a mover and shaker in the women's rights movement of the 1970s. And here she is, fucking letting you know what's up. My body, my choice, motherfuckers. That's right, our seemingly harmless songstress was the target of an RCMP spy investigation campaign, keeping tabs on Canadian feminists who were interested in stopping the exploitation of women. Aside from Rita, the RCMP were also interested in the Vancouver Women's Caucus and the group's 1970 abortion caravan, which trekked across the country to protest the law regulating the termination of pregnancies. According to the CBC, an undercover source reporting on a March 1972 gathering of women's liberation groups in Winnipeg compiled biographical sketches of several delegates, noting McNeil was in attendance representing the Toronto Women's Caucus. She's the one who composes and sings women's lib songs, the RCMP memo said, portions of which remain secret to this day. Historians Steve Hewitt and Christabel Sethna found the information while going through declassified files detailing the RCMP Security Service spy campaign that started in the late 60s. As paranoid as it sounds, the RCMP were investigating the potential threat from left-wing subversives, possibly linked to hostile foreign powers, i.e. communist countries. Rita McNeil, the communist. Ridiculous. The force opened the file Women's Liberation Groups Canada on May 13, 1969. The Mounties cited pamphlets, position papers, announcements, and meeting minutes. They also relied on informants, women by necessity at closed-door meetings, but both male and female spies were at open session. Absolutely insane to think that they were closely watching Rita, but who knows what kind of pursuit of justice our queen was up to. Funny, the next line in my script here is, gives new meaning to, I'm a working man I am, and I've been down underground. Thanks, Rita, we continue to miss you, and we stan. And I'd like to tell you guys something funny now. My brother-in-law, Richard's back there, and my sister, Maureen. And for Christmas last year, they said to my family, we want to take the family on a vacation. And maybe they were thinking we'd all go to France or we'd all go to Italy. No, we chose to go to Cape Breton, Nova Scotia. And we stayed at Rita McNeil's house, which you can rent and stay at. And it was fucking unbelievable. So I thought I would let you guys know about that. Thanks again, Richard. That was a pretty fucking boss move. There's Rita. This is a title she might revisit now. Yeah. Here's early Rita and family. And let's take a listen to old Rita for a second.
I know we'll reach the sky tonight. You can see how far we've come. Standing in our brightest light. This is what the dream has done. Peace that comes from knowing love. The certain way I see you smile.
It's kind of like a fucking AM radio like pop tune. It's sick.
Whenever we ride the storm, I know we'll reach the sky tonight. You can see how far we've come. Standing in our brightest light. This is what the dream has done. And when the night brings on the
Okay. Are we feeling the Nova Scotia theme tonight? This is a photo I took of Rita's chair where she would sit next to like her shoot, because it's on like the, I don't know what that's called, the Sydney Bay? Her place was in Sydney River. So maybe it's called Sydney River, the water that she's on. That would make a lot of sense, wouldn't it? Anyway, she had this chair where the owner of the house was like, yeah, this is where she would sit here by the river and write songs. And those are the songs she wrote in the chair. And that's why they're there. Fucking sick as hell. And there's a painting of where, with the lupins, pretty sick, like where she wrote them. And I sat there when I was in between drinks, and I was fishing, and I was catching these fucking sick pike, these little tiny, look at me, look how happy I am. I'm wearing a different Anne Murray hat in this photo. Isn't that funny? All right, now we're gonna talk about John Dunsworth. In 2015, the Nova Scotia Liberals made the inexplicable decision to slash arts funding. Specifically, a film tax credit that was crucial to the film industry in Nova Scotia. John Dunsworth was extremely vocal in regards to the absurdity of the plan. As someone who had been involved with theater and film for over 40 years, he knew the tax credit was a major reason there even was a film industry in Nova Scotia. In the 1970s, Dunsworth was running his own theater company. At the age of 24, he leased an abandoned building on the Halifax waterfront and turned it into a playhouse. It was called Pier 1 Theater, and it was run by a 24-year-old named Mr. Leahy. Well, let's get back on topic. Back when Dunsworth was asked to run for the NDP, filmmaker Neil Livingston decided to seize the opportunity and make a documentary about the process, following John around with a camera. The footage is amazing. The documentary is simply titled John Dunsworth, the Candidate. Of the 3 candidates running in the provincial riding of Halifax Bedford Basin, Dunsworth came third with 2,746 votes, or 19.3% of the share. The NDP won 2 out of 52 seats that year. There's no question Dunsworth knew the whole exercise was a lost cause, but he surely remained interested in the process. John Dunsworth lived before he died near Southwest Cove, Nova Scotia. He's buried near Sims Settlement. He was born in Bridgewater and was the second of 10 children. A couple more cool facts about John Dunsworth. He didn't ever drink, though he played a drunk very well on television. He did not drink. He struggled with an addiction to VLTs, however, throughout his life, and was subsequently instrumental in trying to have them removed from Nova Scotia bars. He called them as close to a social evil as you can get. He once estimated that he had lost over 100 grand in his lifetime to VLTs. Way she goes, some might say. I'm not trying to make fun of him here, I'm an opportunist when it comes to jokes. He was also a master Scrabble player. They say he did not lose a game in 25 years, which is unbelievable. He was also keenly interested in masonry and constantly building crazy shit all over his property. Outdoor fireplaces, walkways, French walls, retaining walls, even an outdoor theater on his property, all made out of cement and rocks, perfectly carved by John Dunsworth. Some of his thoughts about politics. We've always been part of an authoritarian kind of society, and in a way, that's something that is, something that exists, which has virtue because it is, because it exists. That is to say, like, premiers get reelected because they're the premier, not because they're the best candidate. Something to think about. They will vote for someone because that someone has been in power and he's important. They're a little bit afraid of doing something new. Damn, is that ever true, Mr. Leahy? Dunsworth died 5 years ago. Is that a photo? Oh, is it making noise? Okay.
Where's your nose though? Where's your
If
nose?
your mom lets you,
Where's daddy's nose?
I told my mom I would be
Where's daddy's ear? Yeah?
What if
Where's
she
Zoe's
won't?
teeth? Where's teeth
There's
Zoe's?
nobody home.
Let's say hi.
Hi, she went to
Did you ever think of running in an election? Was it a serious consideration or a passing fantasy? This is a portrait of John Dunsworth's campaign in a suburb
You guys had to
of
check this out.
Halifax
It's
during
so
the
tight.
1988 election in the Canadian province of Nova Scotia. In this scene, John Dunsworth is joined by Alexa McDonough, the leader of Nova Scotia's.
Did they just fucking smooch?
John Dunsworth is an actor.
Two legends here, eh? I like that.
We've always been part of an authoritarian kind of society. And in a way it's true, because people in this community, they think, they think something that is has virtue because it is. I mean, they will vote for someone because that someone has been the premier and he's important. They will subscribe to a set of rules because it has been the set of rules, and so by virtue of its existence, it must be good. And they're a little bit afraid of trying something new. And in some cases, they're actually forcibly, they're blackmailed. I mean, when I say to you, listen, my constituents know that if they don't vote for me and I get in, then I'm going to hold it against them.
I don't remember Mr. Leahy talking like that.
We've always been part of an authoritarian.
Not good. No,
How'd that go? Not good.
Because, they're not New Democrats. They're people who are probably basically afraid of the handle of New Democracy, which they equate with socialist bent, the welfare state. And they have a certain standard of living, and they feel that they're subsidizing needy people enough, and they equate New Democracy with subsidizing the disadvantaged.
That's got to be the most comprehensive breakdown of the opposition to socialism I've ever heard in my entire life.
Have you decided how you're going to vote in this?
Anyway, I could watch this forever. I'm like, am I doing a show right now or just chilling watching John Dunsworth? This is from his daughter, Zoe. Thank you for this lovely post. I had never seen the footage before, and it's quite special to see Dad interacting with baby me in the beginning. So that's very nice. So there you go. Just wanted to shout out the fucking, maybe the best actor in Canadian history, John Dunsworth. I think he's absolutely incredible. I want to pause this for a second. Okay, maybe it's not playing. How are we feeling right now? Is everyone good? Like, I've got a couple more things to talk about. Like, sometimes I'll skip something if I've been like talking too long. But if we're feeling okay, yeah? All right. Okay, so I wanted to talk about the time the entire town of Sackville, New Brunswick, was haunted, and I mean haunted, by the radio. What could that mean? The site, as we'll learn about, obviously transmitted Canadian content as it was meant to do, but it also broadcasted Radio Free Europe, amongst other material, during the Cold War. It's worth noting that most of the information that I'm getting for this bit of the show is a result of the work by Amanda Dawn Christie and her doc, Spectres of Shortwave. If you haven't checked it out by now, please do. Just saying this to preface what we're about to talk about, because there's CBC articles and there's half-decent Vice articles, but it basically all comes down to the work done by Amanda Dawn Christie. From my current research, it seems as though Christie is a very busy powerhouse from my alma mater of Concordia University. Yeah? Let's fucking go. I like to liken Concordia University to a public washroom. You go in, you do your thing, and you get the fuck out. It wasn't like a place you like chilled at between classes. We didn't have like this sexy campus like McGill did, you know, like a courtyard. No, we had Boulevard de Maisonneuve with cars killing cyclists every other day. That's another story. But yeah, so Christie is an assistant professor in Studio of Arts. So now that credit has been given where credit is due, let's keep moving. For over 70 years along the Trans-Canada, there were 13 120-meter towers rising up from the Tantramar marshes. They were part of CBC's shortwave broadcasting built during World War II to send frequencies worldwide. The transmission of signals were not intended for local people, as is usually the case. Consequently, people like Christy were fascinated with how those radio waves would affect the people around them. The people that the messages for whom the messages were not intended. From an interview with Christy, the relationship was more than just landscape. The transmission site affected the appliances, homes, and even dreams of local residents. Again, from Christy, anything within 50 kilometers of that site could easily pick up the radio. In fact, many people in Sackville heard the radio coming from their sink, or their fridge, or even their toaster. So this obviously raised concerns, as you can imagine. Many could set their watch to the radio every Sunday night at 10 p.m. coming out of their sink, especially. This is where it gets even funnier. Amanda Dawn Christie was like, I would like to hear whatever this is coming out of my own sink. And when she didn't, she built herself a radio from a regular sink with copper piping, which was the type of piping that the other sinks had that were picking up, taking it out at night in the Tantrum Bar Marsh to pick up the RCI broadcast. Once locals caught wind of that project, other locals started to chat more and more with her about their own experiences. And I would like to add my own bizarre connection or contribution here, while I can, as the admin. When I was in university, I spent a lot of time listening to the CBC program Brave New Waves with Patty Schmidt. At the time, it was hosted by Patty Schmidt, and it was nothing short of unbelievable. If you are a millennial like me, and you smoked weed between the years of 2002 and 2005, driving around in a 1998 Dodge Neon, then you know exactly why this program was so perfect. That being said, there was this weird thing I believe that was once showcased on Brave New Waves called the CONET Project. I have always wanted to write about it on my account, but I could never find a Canadian connection. So maybe here's my chance. The CONET Project was like the creepiest shit of all time. And I'm gonna give you like the Wikipedia rundown, but basically the theory was, because people were picking up this stuff on shortwave, and some guy started recording them all, because he was like, this is just so bizarre. It would be like Yankee Hotel Foxtrot 3 5 4 3 Yankee Hotel. And the theory was that it was the American government communicating to spies in the field. And that those were messages and everything had significance. The creepiest part about it though is they would sometimes use melodies. And there was one called the Swedish Rhapsody, and it would be like dun, 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 and it meant get the fuck out of there. How fucking scary is that? So my theory is that like coming out of this site in Sackville, New Brunswick could have been a version of that. I'm not sure because it was senseless stuff. Ugh. From Wikipedia, the CONET Project is a set of recordings of numbers stations and noise stations released to the public beginning in 1997. Numbers stations are shortwave radio stations believed to be operated by government agencies to communicate with deployed spies. The collection of recordings is primarily the work of Eardial Discs founder Akin Fernandez, who began recording the transmissions of number stations in 1992. Essentially, these were really creepy melodies. I said this already, the creepy melodies had meanings. Imagine instead of code words or code numbers, the US government was using certain melodies to communicate with their agents in the field. Famously, Jeff Tweedy from the band Wilco named a record of theirs Yankee Hotel Foxtrot, which was a reference to the CONET Project. Apparently, Wilco used to just listen to the CONET Project like on the tour bus and trip out, just like I did in my Dodge Neon. So yeah, I can't help but think that the same thing was going on with the towers in Sackville, New Brunswick. Back to Christy in an interview with the CBC, Christy began carrying a recorder around with her to capture stories when strangers started talking. I've got stories about broadcasts that you would not believe. Others have said that foreign language broadcasts went deeper into the subconscious of some people. Some would be convinced that they were dreaming in other languages, and then they would call up technicians to find out how that happened. Then there is a text from a website called since1872.ca from Hart Hall, which are there's tunnels that run beneath the Mount A campus. Ghosts have been attracted to this beautiful town for ages, and reports across Sackville have been nothing short of intriguing and downright spooky. Anyone who has spent time on the campus has heard about the Hart Hall ghost. What you may not know are the nitty-gritty details. The spirit is allegedly the ghost of Professor Ethel Peake, a well-known mezzo-soprano who trained under knighted conductors during World War I before teaching voice at Mount A's conservatory. She died in 1954 at the age of 69. Peake's first reported paranormal occurrence happened at her funeral, where guests heard a voice singing 2 octaves above the organ after the eulogy. After the demolition of Allison Hall, which connected the conservatory and Hart Hall, things seemed to go awry. Most stories are of small, creepy, seemingly harmless incidents, doors closing randomly, objects moving from one place to another, and odd sounds echoing through various rooms. The only seemingly malicious story follows an alumnus who was studying in the hall late at night when an apparition appeared before him and pushed him down the stairs, resulting in a broken leg. I choose to believe the fuck out of this for fun. But I want to play a couple clips here from the documentary Spectres of Shortwave. And this is coming off the Wi-Fi here, so hopefully it works.
В его руке кристалл, и в сумерках кристалла звезда души мерцала.
So sad. Is that the same clip? Was the guy walking up in the last one? My PowerPoint is doubling the slides for some reason. Sorry about that.
I was just sitting there, and all of a sudden this lamp sitting next to me started to light up. You know, it starts gradually and it comes up, and as Wynn said, doesn't really come to a full light, but it glows. And I was there alone. And I'm like, this is not happening. And I was really freaked out. Wynn heard about it when he got home and laughed and said, oh, happens all the time, get used to it.
Ooh. Okay, this is from the Conet Project. So this is believed to be communication to spies in the field from the CIA. Imagine hearing this and it's like, go ASAP. Creepiest shit ever. Sounds like it's like a Stephen King novel or something. Like a clown's about to stab you when you hear this. Like, what the fuck? And this is the kind of shit people were hearing in Sackville. From their sink! Like, that's not okay.
A lot of remote areas and a lot of poor areas in the world that, sorry, they don't have internet up there. They don't have computers. They can't plug into a tree. But a shortwave radio, especially the wind-up ones, those were ingenious. I mean, they were like a $20 radio. You get this thing, you crank, 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 wind it up, and then suddenly you're connected to the planet. Shortwave's not something you can block. It's not like, you know, on the internet where you control news in your own country. Shortwave radio, if you got a radio, you can pick it up. No way to block it.
Interesting. Pretty cool. Yeah. Assassinate him. Take him the fuck out. Never underestimate my willingness to just let something play. Incredibly unsettling shot. We're gonna move into something a little more upbeat. I want to talk about all the men rejected by Lucy Maud Montgomery. This is a fun part of the show. I wonder if I could get a schooner on stage by any chance. Yeah, you can do that for me? Very sick. In fact, I'll take 2. Or you know what, I'll take a schooner and a vitamin O. You got those back there? Yeah, just to win these guys over a little bit. Sometimes I like to think of all the men rejected by Lucy Maud Montgomery because, as folks from New Brunswick, we're pretty close to her whole raison d'etre. Let's start from the beginning and go in order, shall we? Her first came when she was just 14 years old. No, it's fine. Ooh, Nate Walkert, the man here, was a young man from Cavendish. To Lucy, the relationship was merely a humorous and witty friendship, and it came to a screeching halt when she refused his marriage proposal. How old was he? I don't know, like 65 years old, presumably? I'm not sure. I know the age of some of the other ones, but I don't know the age of him. Next, there was John A. Mustard. He did it in the hall with the wrench. It's a Clue joke. It's pretty good. When was the last time you heard a Clue joke? Anyway, this was Lucy's teacher. Thank you very much, Maureen. My sister, everybody. She has been nice to me my whole life. I just want everybody to know. Never mean. Always a nice sister. So this is Lucy's teacher. She describes his advances as unwelcome and noted his best attempts at conversation were his thoughts on predestination and other dry points of theology. While John pursued in vain, Lucy turned her attention to Will Pritchard. Now, Will is interesting because it seems that Lucy actually liked him. He was the brother of her good friend Laura Pritchard. Will Pritchard is also thought to be the inspiration for Anne's love interest, Gilbert. So that's Gilbert in real life. How sick is that? Something you'll only learn at a Canada.gov.ca show. So Lucy and Will did have something going, but ultimately he felt more than she did, referring to him as merely a good chum, friend-zoned. Then we have Edward Simpson, her cousin. That's fine. Come on, open your mind, guys. Teachers, cousins, it's Cavendish. What happens in Canada? Not even gonna fucking say it. Brutal. I would walk out and leave this show if I was watching it. Ed's proposal was actually initially accepted by Lucy. She would later write, however, that she accepted it out of a desire for protection and that she felt her other prospects were rather poor. Later, she would state that she found him physically and emotionally repellent. I think she was gay, personally. I do, and I literally do, and I think that it's fucked up that Anne ever ends up with someone as like the story progressed, because like that's not Anne. Anne ain't tied down by any man. You know what I mean? Like it goes against everything that Anne's character like that was built, I think. So I think Anne needs a man like a fish needs a bicycle. Am I right? Moving on. Well engaged to Ed, she took a teaching job in Lower Bedeck PEI, boarding with the Laird family. There she met young Herman Laird. Oh, I'm glad that's your reaction, because get this. This is great. So she's with someone when she meets him, and he is engaged to someone else. But nothing could stop them. She began an affair with the only man she ever loved, and referred to him as an attractive young animal. She would later write, Herman suddenly bent his head and his lips touched my face. I cannot tell what possessed me. I seemed swayed by a power utterly beyond my control. I turned my head. Our lips met in one long, passionate pressure. A kiss of fire and rapture, such as I had never experienced or imagined. Ed's kisses at the best left me cold as ice. Herman's sent flame through every fiber of my being. You fucking slut, Lucy Maud Montgomery. That is the hottest shit I've ever read. And it's just like about like a kiss. How dope is that? Let's go loose. Get it! Well, she desired to maintain her virginity prior to marriage. Montgomery often invited Laird into her bedroom when everybody else was out, and though she refused to have sex with him before marriage, she and Laird engaged in kissing and what she called preliminary lovemaking. Just picturing like asking your wife, like, how do you feel about some preliminary lovemaking tonight? Or like sex with Sue, like, make sure you engage in some preliminary lovemaking before. Anyway, a reminder that at the time, Lucy looked like this. An absolute fucking fox. And in the top 10 writers in Canadian history. Later, she would marry the Reverend Ewan MacDonald and move to Ontario, have 3 children, and live miserably until her death. And that is, don't shoot the messenger. That is well documented. Nice thing about Lucy, like, if you ever want to know anything about Lucy Maud Montgomery, don't worry, she'll tell you. It is in her shit. It's out there. Like, she wrote down everything. She wrote pages every day, just in diaries. Not like her work, just like, here's what happened today, here's who repelled me, and here's who sent fire through every fiber of my being. All right, let's talk about Frenchies here for a second. This is a text from my boss. Hi, where are you? Understandable. Take as much time as you need. What is it about Frenchies that has us all by the jugular? It was really a powerful regional chain, regardless of where you were in the Maritimes, in my opinion. But I'd like to talk about the wedding that happened at Frenchies. It's really cute. I love these two. Like, I don't know, man. If you look at, like, even the cameraman is smiling. And look at the way she's looking at him and the way he's looking at her. Like, these guys are gonna last until they're 150 years old. I'm certain of it. It fucking rules. Let's go. Now, the funny thing about this is that when they reached out to Frenchies, about getting married there. They asked if the Frenchies could be closed for the duration of the ceremony, and the answer was no. The Frenchies wouldn't close for a fucking hour. What, they lost out on $18 worth of jogging pants? Like, give me a break. Like, if you look in the background, you could see people still shopping. Like, fuck, man. I want to talk to that manager, because they should be fired. Now I'm going to talk about Regis Philbin. It's a natural progression in the show. In 2010, something very strange happened. It was a level of desperation I've not seen from a government ever since. If I told you my friends and I were in shambles over this, I'd be underselling the manner in which we were just losing it. When Live with Regis and Kelly decided to film a couple episodes on PEI, the government of New Brunswick decided to do its absolute best to piggyback on the occasion. The result was the most unhinged, half-assed, might I say pathetic, yet somehow brilliant effort by way of a video called Regis is Big in New Brunswick. A little context first. The morning show starring Mr. Philbin would take the show on the road a couple times a year. Sometimes to Orlando, sometimes to New Orleans, or somewhere funky, but always somewhere other than their home base of Manhattan, New York. The PEI government's travel office contacted the series, and in partnership with the federal government, an invitation to come north was extended. The government hoped the show would boost tourism to PEI. Somewhere along the line, it was determined that the show would be traveling by bus, I believe. Therefore, the geniuses at the New Brunswick government realized, wait a minute, Regis is going to be in this place. Anybody catch that? It's for the MBers in the room. That was the catchphrase, or the motto that we came up with as a province, be in this place. That they spent like $2 million on. I think that's where like the real corruption comes from. When someone gets paid $2 million to come up with be in this place. That's insane to me. Like, why didn't they call me? I could have come up with something much worse for a lot more money. But anyway, the New Brunswick government was thinking we should, try to get Regis to stop in New Brunswick on his way. From what I understand, the video was 100% ignored, and there is no evidence that Regis ever got off the highway en route to PEI. Story of our lives, eh, New Brunswick? Don't call us the drive-through province for nothing. Regis actually did perform with his wife and an orchestra at Casino New Brunswick in Moncton many years later. A show that I kick myself every day for not going to. Imagine seeing Regis with like an orchestra for some reason at the casino? Be sick as hell. Anyway, the shows in PEI were a hit. Regis called PEI a masterpiece, and the PEI government was pleased as well, calling the visit a success and saying it was the equivalent of buying $22 million in ads. The shows took place at the Confederation Landing Park in Charlottetown. There they are. Here they are promoting the show. It's pretty sick. And are we all set, folks? You fired up or what?
Regis is big in New Brunswick. He's a charming and lovable guy, and that's the reason why Regis is big in New Brunswick. He's bigger than the Hopewell Rocks, and we're pulling out all the stops. Regis is big in New Brunswick. He'll feel like he's back home again, next to that salmon in Campbellton. He's big.
This fucking sucks.
He's bigger than the lobster in Shediac. He's bigger than the maple leaf in St. Content. He's bigger than the largest axe in Naquick. Les plus gros que le village acadien.
Is that some baked potato appreciation?
We hope you'll be around. Regis comes
The production value on this.
He's bigger than the lobster in Shediac.
right, it just repeats, so we're done here. All right. That was Regis. The last time I was in Halifax, there was a few topics I wanted to touch on, but chose not to for a number of reasons. But one would be a guy by the name of Moses Cody. Okay, sick. I thought maybe I was gonna have to tell you guys, but there's some awareness here. That's amazing. I was initially going to quickly speak about the history of credit unions in rural Nova Scotia. The joke I was about to make was like, because I have a very interesting show. Very exciting. Now I'd like to talk about the credit union. Only I could do this. But the more I thought about it, the more I was thinking this would be a better avenue on Moses Cody. So here goes. Nova Scotia has an impressive and long history of cooperatives. Some have said that it's kind of insane that decades of neoliberal economics have not managed to fully destroy this. And you could say that Moses Cody laid much of the foundation for this, and I will try to tell you now how. Moses Cody was born into a very large Catholic family in 1882. For those keeping track, it was in Marquee Valley, not to be confused with Southwest Marquee, Marquee Forks, Marquee Brook, or Northeast Marquee. It may sound like I'm joking, but capers here will understand what I'm talking about. I'm a big fan of Southwest Marquee because of the Southwest Marquee Hall, where they have the adult dance after the Broad Cove music concert. And let me just tell you that the adult dance has very different meaning in Cape Breton than it does in Montreal. Let's go back to talking about the priest. Awful transition. Moses Cody became a priest. He immediately dedicated himself to the benefit of the workers in his area. And when he was named a Monsignor, his former secretary, Kay Desjardins, recalls that Cody referred to the superiors who appointed him to the post as sons of bitches, who were trying to move him away from his activist work. So he recognized that his promotion was actually like, let's keep this guy busy doing something else and not, be such a goddamn commie out in the woods. That's why he is a legend. To quote the Moses Cody documentary by Kent Martin on the National Film Board of Canada, he railed, and you guys gotta watch this. It's fucking awesome. And if you're interested in Nova Scotia history, which I suspect you are because you're in this room right now, I would definitely go and watch it on NFB. He railed against the fact that workers were overrun by the power of billionaire corporations and millionaire individuals and dominating bureaucrats and political dictators, and said that the freedom should mean that people have the right to set up institutions that will act as a counterforce to the antisocial elements of society who build counterforce and set up economic institutions to suppress the people and exploit them. If 7 men can form a joint stock company, there's no reason why 700 or 7,000 can't do the same thing in a cooperative way. We have got to get over the naive idea that monopolistic exploiters and dictators are going, this is all Moses Cody's words, by the way, and dictators are going to reform because good men preaching justice and charity tell them to do so. This is a priest saying this. Like, I can tell these guys every Sunday to get their fucking shit together, but they're not going to do it. So I appreciate that from him. We must add force to our persuasion. The force of ideas expressed in a form that will give a legitimate share of power to the people. Our powerful vested interests have taken over and exploited the natural resources of other people, especially those in undeveloped sectors of the earth. If we add to this our arrogant insistence on white supremacy, he said this in like the 1920s. Yeah, let's go, Moses Cody is right. The situation gets more serious. Someday we will reap dividends of wrath for this stupid policy of white supremacy. If anyone was ahead of his time, it was Moses Cody. He was persistent in organizing unions all over Nova Scotia, and he was certain that a power to the people approach would save us from something he saw coming a long ass time ago. He believed that we could circumvent a kind of predatory banking system by working with each other, helping out farmers, and borrowing from each other at a much lower rate than capitalism suggested. And if you disagree with the kind of ideas that he was putting forward, then you haven't been paying attention for the last 75 years. Yeah.
But the merchants inflated fish prices to lure members away. In 1930, a year after he had started his work, Cody brought together in Halifax 208 delegates representing fishing co-ops. At this conference, United Maritime Fishermen, a central marketing cooperative, was formed.
We have licked feudalism in the fishing villages. All this has been done without firing a single shot or shedding a drop of blood. The people did it in the good old scientific way of using their intelligence to manipulate the forces that control their lives.
Dr. Cody came to speak at a conference and he was a little late. He had stopped out at a fishing community. He had organized that community about a year and a half before that. So he stopped out to see the clergyman, see how things were. And told him, he said, "Not too good, Father." "Yes," he said, "what's wrong?" He said, "Is there anything wrong with the fishermen?" "No," he said, "I'm getting wonderful cooperation from the fishermen." But he said, "It's the fish dealer. Stop coming to church." "I see," says Dr. Cody. "Well, you know," he said, "you can do what you want." But he said, "If I win your face," he said, "as long as you're getting good cooperation from the fishermen, I wouldn't bother too much about the fish dealer. Because if he wants to go to hell, that's his business."
After his success
How
in
fucking sick
organizing
is that?
Cody was enthused by the idea that the cooperative program could be brought to other maritime people. He gathered about him a dedicated staff at the extension office.
Surprised he wasn't shot in the fucking head. JFK styles or whatever. Is this footage?
What he was advocating was that the little Joes and the little ordinary people help themselves and take out of the hands of these people who had exploited them for years the lucrative income. It's no secret that the business community at the time were very closely associated with the clergy. So he did get a lot of opposition from clergymen, some of the clergymen of his own faith.
The spiritual leaders preach social justice and charity. When it comes down to brass tacks, they haven't got the spirituality that will stand up against the opposition of those whose vested interests would be hurt by a universal total cooperative program. That's why we're losing the working classes. We have to come out four square for the working man in the way our Lord taught in the parable of the Good Samaritan.
He said, when you have the people with you, you don't have to worry about these people that are trying to buck us, because in the end, we're going to win out. There's no force can stop people when they organize.
Where four people would sit around, or two. One of those little homemade card tables, that was his stand. And when he was getting his marks across and he let go of his fist, he hit the table jumped the foot up.
I think it's playing sound from a different bit.
The question in the box about housing. He read Warbass's book on cooperative democracy. And Warbass said anybody paying rent to a landlord pays for the house in 20 years and makes a donation of the house back to the landlord. Now that's exactly the position that we were in. We're paying rent to the coal company, and every 20 years the house would be paid for, and they would get the house back again. We'd start all over again. So the question was, what can we do about housing so that we will own our own homes? And then we started from that, and we then decided to specialize in housing. We put all our time and studies on housing. And we studied 2 years before we started to build. We excavated all the basements by hand. And many of the skeptics at that time, they said, well, the basements will fill with water and that'll be the end of that.
Talk about getting shit done by yourself. Also, if there's any landlords here, I'm sorry, but get a real job. Yeah, shout out to Moses Cody. All right. think we can guess who I'm going to speak about now a little bit. There's another topic that many have wondered why I haven't touched on too much, and that would be Cape Breton weather legend Frankie McDonald. There's a number of amazing things that I love about Frankie. One would have to be his consistency on a number of different things that he does on his account. For example, I've done well with a few running jokes myself, including the Venres chairs, posting them as they come in via submissions. When people see one in the wild, they send it to me, and it's a true joy to post it as a means of adding to the collection. Another running joke would obviously be the admin reveal gags that I've done over the years. Anyway, all this to say that Frankie is known for prefacing his photos with women by saying they are well over 20 years old. Very strange age he's chosen. Because, you know, like, he could have said 18 or 21. No, he's like, they're well over 20. But this saves Frankie from ever getting canceled. He doesn't dare post a photo of him with a minor, so it's very smart what he does. While it may seem like I'm going to do a deep dive into the whole Frankie McDonald lore, in fact, that's not what I'm going to do here. I'm more interested in the fairly common occasion where he mentions his father, also named Frank, or Frankie McDonald, who makes music. Frankie, our favorite on the spectrum meteorologist, will sometimes allude to his father that recently wrote a song, and will make sure to say that he wrote the song all by himself, and that he played the guitar and wrote his own lyrics, and the song is original. Dumbasses. I think it was the very first time that I saw Frankie do this where I was like, oh fuck, I absolutely must check out his dad's music. I was so very curious. I was pleasantly surprised, if not just short of blown away. You know, when we speak about outsider music, B.J. Snowden, Tanetta, Louis Ballou, that kind of thing. Since I know most in this room are familiar with Frankie, but not his dad's music, which is always exclusively linked via SoundCloud, very kind of old school, I thought I would enlighten everyone here and play a few tracks written by Frankie McDonald Sr. And for the record, he goes by Mystic Mist. So here we go. Is that what you were expecting? It's fucking sick, actually. I was like, at first it was like, okay, and I was like, wait, fucking let's go, actually. It's just weird enough. It's so weird, man. Please excuse my screen recording of SoundCloud. It's the only way to do it. Chasing Rainbows by Mystic Mist, Frankie McDonald's father. We're almost done here, folks, I promise. But this is tight. Chasing rainbows. I love it. All right, one, yeah, 6 legs, and you know I'm one of them. It kind of reminds me of like the Darude column or something. It kind of has that like that delay pedal going. That's Mystic Mist, everybody. His polls are actually going down weirdly. Like I thought Paulie ever had this in the bag, and it seemingly he may not. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens. I think he still wins, which is, but I think maybe it's like it won't be a long run. He'll do something to fuck it up. This guy's a loser. So. I'm gonna have to ask that you guys respect my trans homies, or I'm gonna identify as a fucking problem. And I don't really do land acknowledgements as much sometimes, and this is maybe an unpopular opinion, but I find them to be sort of insincere, especially in a sense, and like they're not all, but like when someone like has to do one and is handed a piece of paper, I'd personally rather post this at the end of my show. And I think this is really important to, we have to see everything through this lens instead of just like this cute afterthought, in my opinion. We also have to consider this all the time. I saw you when you came in. Free Palestine, let's go. Well, I'll say this first. We live in a funny time in a funny place. I feel as though we're collectively rejecting the neatly packaged version of the Canadian identity that we've been fed by the beer companies. We're so much more than hockey, maple syrup, Mounties, and moose, i.e. white guys. White men. There's a lot more to the story, and more we're realizing that white settlers are such a small part of it, and immigrants, newer Canadians, and Indigenous people are in fact much, much more important to the overall story. And with that, thank you, Halifax, thank you, Dirt. I don't know. I'd like to thank Ty Dunfield. I'd like to thank the lovely bartenders working. Hope you guys have been tipping their asses off. Kyle McCracken, I believe his name is, was instrumental in helping me set up this show. The Marquee, this is fucking dope as hell. I'm looking at this room right now, I'm blown away, I'm emotional. This is gas in my tank, this is food on my table, and this is what allowed me to quit the most boring job in the history of the planet at McGill University. And I hope I can keep doing this. I've been realistic with myself, like this may be like a couple years I can get away with not being in an office and not wanting to fucking kill myself every day. But we'll see. But for the time being, it's working out, and you guys are the ones making that happen for me. I am truly, truly grateful. And that is not a joke. So a round of applause for you guys. The very first show I ever did in Fredericton, I was like, oh, okay, like, I'll have like a little Q&A at the end for like just a couple minutes or whatever. I went on stage, it was like my first show, I was so nervous. And then so I was like, I finished the show and I'm like, so, any questions? And then like when a hand did not go up in like the first 2 seconds or like 1 second, I was like, nope, okay, great, see you guys. And I marched the fuck off stage, I was just ringing with nerves. But then when I did the shows in Dartmouth, it was the first time I ever did, like I was brave enough to wait for a hand to go up. And it ended up being like my favorite part of the night. Cause like I know this stuff, you guys don't, but then like that stuff coming towards me was like new and interesting. So that said, I won't make everyone sit through a bunch of questions, but I'll take a couple. So if anybody has a question, go ahead. What's your least favorite province? That's so unfair. You know, I'm gonna answer this by not answering this. Well, yeah, it's Nova Scotia. No, I'm just kidding. Well, you guys are so mean to us. Like, we're like the little brother that you guys, and we're retarded. So you shouldn't have done that. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry. I apologize for the R word, by the way. I take it back. Here's what I want to say. When people shit on New Brunswick, or like when New Brunswickers shit on Moncton, I get annoyed because it's like, it's not, it's just like kind of stupid. Like, it's like there's such good people from there. It is a good time. And it's just like someone along the line made a joke that like, oh yeah, Moncton, like the arsehole of the Maritimes or whatever. And people trying to be clever just repeated that over and over and over again until it became true. And it's not true, I don't think. I think it's ridiculous, and I think it's an unoriginal thought made that is regurgitated by unoriginal people. That's just my thought. So in terms of like least favorite province, I think there are redeeming qualities in all of them. Also, admittedly, I've not been to many. But I will be going to like Alberta, Manitoba, and Saskatchewan for the first time ever this coming winter. So there you go. I also just got a book deal with HarperCollins. So when my book comes out, please buy it, maybe. It should be at the cash at Chapters, because I just signed with the biggest publishing company in Canada. So, yeah. Okay, next question. Go ahead. You can go ahead first, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, my wife has been helping me for a bunch of them. This weekend in particular, she said go. Actually, what happened first was she said, I'm having a girls' weekend, please scram. I needed the cottage to myself. It's a ladies' weekend. And so I booked Sappy Fest and this room, and here we are. So yeah, other than that, it is just me. So there you go. And then go ahead. I love the account. I love it. Well, I think that it's a little less interesting than Aliens, but in a way much more threatening, because it's like our governments that are doing this. I don't think it's alien related whatsoever. I think it's like, yeah, oh, well, the government's hiding stuff, but that they're hiding alien stuff. I think this is hiding us trying to topple over left-leaning governments all over the world. That's what I think. Next question. Go ahead right there in the white. Oh yeah, sick. Okay. It was from Greg Keeler from Blue Rodeo. And he told me this amazing story, which I will tell you now. He said this one time, because I don't know if you guys know this, Greg Keeler is actually from Cape Breton, and his name is not Greg Keeler. It's Francis McDermott, and he was adopted, and they changed his name to Greg Keeler. That is a true story. Greg Keeler is not his real name. He was adopted, and his parents changed his name. He goes on to meet Jim Cuddy. They formed Blue Rodeo. They also didn't play instruments when they met when they were 21 years old. They picked up instruments, decided they were going to form a band. Turns out Jim Cuddy has the best voice in the world, and they write Hasn't Hit You Yet and all these fucking tracks, and they become maybe the top 5 most important Canadian bands of all time. But before this, Greg Keeler was a goaltender, and he was going to the NHL. He was very, very good. He was trying out for the Toronto Marlies at Maple Leaf Gardens. And as he was leaving the ice, he gets a hand to the chest like this. Stop, our goalie's not ready. We need you to go back on the ice. It was Bobby Orr. And the team that was about to go on the ice was the 1972 Team Canada, getting ready to do the Summit Series against the Russians. Or the Soviets, as I should say. So, Greg Keeler, who wrote the most important songs of our childhood, went out on the ice and took shots from Bobby Orr, Frank Mahovlich, and Phil Esposito, and all these guys that played on the Summit Series team. And he's telling me this story. I was like, first of all, Keeler's in my DMs. That's fucked up. Number 2, no one would believe this story was true. Like this again, like, you know, the beer companies, this sounds like something concocted by the beer companies. Like, this is too Canadian to be like factual. So I thought that was absolutely nuts. And then when I was in the Globe and Mail, I told this story to the guy writing about me, and he actually had to reach out to Greg Keeler to confirm, because they can't print it if it's not true, and he didn't believe me. And so he got Greg Keeler's number, phoned him, and Greg Keeler confirmed it was a true story. Next question. Go ahead.
What do you tell people when they ask you what you do?
It's funny because I used to say what I like about the show. I used to be like, here's what it's not. It's not stand-up comedy, and it's not a podcast. It's like a drunk TED Talk. Like, what am I, beer for right now? And now, in the interest of having people actually like listen to me until the end of the sentence, I say it's comedy. I say it's like nonfiction comedy. In terms of like what I do, again, that's ridiculous. How do you explain to anyone over like 55 that you're like an Instagram content creator or whatever? Like, they're like, oh, Instagram? I thought that was only TikTok. I'm like, I'm surprised too. But yeah, there you go. Let's just do a couple more. Go ahead, two-hander there.
Okay. If you were to choose any like Canadian dead or alive star to be prime minister, who would it be?
Ron McLean. Because Ron's very well read. But here's what's disappointing. If in Ron's heart, he is a socialist, but were he to run, he would run for the Liberals. Like, no, I think. I know, right?
What about Terry?
Brutal. What about who?
Terry Fox.
Well, I don't think he can run, babe. And when he does, it's with one leg. Just joking. Oh, come on. Gives a rat's ass. I have one sister back there, Maureen Batt. My other sister, Laura Batt, who's not here tonight, is a cancer survivor. She was treated right here in Halifax at the IWK. Successfully when she was 5 years old, and she's still with us, and that's pretty sweet. And for many, many, many years, with the help of my other sister, Maureen, Laura ran the Terry Fox Run. So the Fox family, including Terry's mother Betty, has a very special place in my heart, and I'm very pleased to still have my oldest sister Laura still with us. Okay, go ahead.
Did you know that there's a beaver running for the mayor of Halifax?
A beaver. I didn't. So.
Beaver for mayor on Instagram.
Okay, I'll check it out. So is this, like, Halifax is a pretty big city. I know that in other towns, when it's like a small city, they have successfully elected like a dog or whatever. But I feel like this is not something that could legally happen here. Oh, he's doing well. Okay, well, I stand corrected. Let's do one last one. Go ahead, dude in the black shirt right there. When am I coming back to the Maritimes? But I'm here all the fucking time, man. I'll be in Fredericton for Christmas. Oh, when am I moving back? When is the admin coming home? My mom and dad would love to know this. Also, where are the damn kids? You're 38 years old. Anyway. You know, it's funny because now my wife is from Ontario. She's from outside of Peterborough, this little town called Norwood. Yeah! Peterborough mentioned! Let's go! I love Peterborough. So you're familiar with Norwood then? You're from fucking Norwood? That's rare. Really? Did you know that my wife was from Norwood? Have we talked about this? Okay, all right, right on. Do you want to get a drink after this? Or? I'm going to keep using that. That's a good joke. Yeah, it's funny because for the longest time, the obstacle to moving out here was my wife from Ontario. Because as you know, the Maritimes are a hard sell to non-Maritimers. We're a special crew out here. And now she wants to move out here. And I do too, but just not yet, because I want to be handy. Here's something that it's hard to imagine. Okay, so there's 500,000 people in Halifax, I think, right? Isn't it around that? 500,000, maybe a little less, maybe a little more. Oh, the whole province is? No, New Brunswick's 500,000, the whole province. 500,000 in HRM? Okay, so imagine this. Imagine that like in Mississauga, which is like whatever, 250,000 people or like 350,000 people. Or Hamilton. Hamilton is the same size as Halifax, and it's just Hamilton, whatever. So, no, I love the Hammer, man. I just did a show there. It sold out like in seconds. It was awesome. What I'm saying is I need to be handy to those extremely populous areas of the country in order to keep my head above water for the next little bit. But I think as I sort of like lean into this career a little bit, I may have more and more freedom to come back home, baby. And with that, I'd like to say thank you very much to the best crowd I've ever had, Halifax, Nova Scotia.